Hi, my name is Dinesh Schwarz, and I'm doing this show for food security, climate change, and energy. I'm a Portuguese from Aveiro district that have a seafront plains and a forest mountain. I studied for accounts, did 11 years at school, but never worked in any office. My work was with timber until I come to UK 20 years ago. I am 54 in St. Peter's Day this year. What I go to show is my understanding of the world and my life experience. I separate three times for this job. COVID, where I got cancer at the same time until now, and at that time I looked for agricultural ways to produce in a place without any good soil at all. At the beginning of COVID, looking for animal feed with palm trees leaves, I got a problem. How can I use them if they are contaminated with birds' poo? If with COVID we need to stay at home not to spray contamination, why a bird flu happen? If they are close, in my opinion, is contaminants come from their food, from the fields, in soya or other things. Like birds, we have swine flu. The same situation. Why? If they are separate in distance. Both of them are at home, like we have been in COVID time. Pigs can be like birds with food contamination. In the cancer treatment, who makes me to do this food naturally, I begin to write. Second time, 1 year and a half ago, I did another job from two news, BID Shell Research Station and Chinese were looking to buy Pidal. From BID Shell, I did a station with new ways of things, plastic, solar panels, and a new way to charge this station using lost electricity during the day. Just go to move the pictures. Not this one. I want to have more. Yeah, is this one. And I lost what I was doing. And with 2010, 2020, 2030 volts going down or up, there's even 200, 220, 230. If it goes up, 2020 is just going to be lost electricity that can recharge batteries if it happens. After this time, 1 year and a half ago, the same idea came to me with the idea saying that we can charge with 1000 volts. We have more things which are from 400, 600, 800, and the charging stone have transformers with 4, 6, 8, 1000 to charge direct from them. I do not know, but I think it's possible. From Pirelli tires, I give them the name Great Wall tires. I will explain with pictures. New ways to produce electricity by water and air. I will explain with pictures too. Palm oil tree. From now for March 2025. Gobi leaves, price of milk in China. Is when I begin to do cancer treatment, I feel doing this. last year and now. And this job makes me to do for food security, climate change, and energy. Another parts that I need to do for that, those fertilizers, organic from need in quantity, plastic that is gold for me, animal feed and fish feed with salty water or river water. The main animals is milk cows, buffalo, camel, chickens, and rabbits in some parts. Animal feed: corn plant, bamboo, alfalfa, cassava leaves, wheat plant and rice plant. With algae and platen. For fish, I choose a grass carp from America that is near the big lakes, and if they go there, they just eat everything and damage the environment because they will go killing everything. This is why I need to be careful with some animals or fishes where we use them in the natural life. And we have another part that is sea fish, or say grass for sweet water and sea fish for seawater. And one more thing that is happening is we need feed pets food that now is very big quantities that are using. For fish feed, I choose for both things algae and platen, because it's the easy way to feed them without need to do it manually or feed them without to be natural. They can get that food from where the environment are, and we don't need to feed them, just put the things in enough quantity for them. I would like to two YouTubers that I find very interesting for this thing. One for saltwater, that is the name 2 Billion Acres of New Farmland by Andrew Millison, where we can see olifites and platen. And another thing, another YouTube, is The Secret Life of Plankton by Tan Head. Another YouTube I found in the last days is How Million Tons of Cassava We Process. It's from Agriculture Insight, and it's mainly for Africa, but of course can be used in other places. I begin this job at 4 of March 25, and until now I've been doing this. I go to begin with climate change and to reverse it. If you have salt water, big reservoirs for evaporation and fish, you can have platen and algae for the fishes, and at the same time for animal feed, if you have plenty in that lakes. That can be on the deserts, North Africa, Asia, and South America too. I explain more with the pictures. One of these situations is that we can have water like we have near the sea when we live there. is not so strange to have seawater uh, or sweet water, not so bad, good, but for the people who live near the sea. It was one experience that I lived when I was young, going to the seafront. We didn't have sweet water from nowhere. It was from the wells that we have there. Another part of climate change that I think is very important is to have palm oil trees above Ecuador and down. That will give a lot of oxygen, and the roots are good for the soil and keep the carbon down. Africa is the best place for it, but needs to use Google Maps to prove we are not taking rainforests. Make it a place for animal productives and jobs for people. For food security and climate change, we need to give best food available to everybody in every country. And for animal feed, the same. We must be independent by country to have these situations in the future, because climate change, we can have now 5%, maybe. We can have worse time than now. If you are at 5, you are going to have a big problem, because things from 5 to 100 is a big change. Another thing this shop gives is what people eat in West and East. In East they have tofu, in Western we have chicken and eggs. For normal people, not for rich people. But with this thing, with fish, you can change this. And I want more two things from tofu and chicken and eggs, that is bread and beef and pet food. Another thing for climate change, you need to understand what is happening with the weather. And we have the time from dinosaurs that I'll show in the pictures, where we have lots of oxygen, is why they are so big. The Incas in the past have 3 years of food for stock. That can be used for war or can be used for difficult years without proper food. It's something that people and countries need to think, because the changing of the weather are going to teach us what can happen. Another thing people speak about the French Revolution is a choice, because France didn't eat potatoes at the time, because the church says that were things from the devil. Another thing happened in Ireland. They choose potatoes, and they only choose one quality, that in 1 year, a problem with the crops just make people die, and it was many millions that die. Or say France and Ireland have problems for not using food properly, and people say that is one of the causes of the French Revolution. Another thing, we have deserts. Deserts can be changed if you use salt water, not sweet water, because the evaporation of the water that we can take inside the desert, 50 or more, are going to evaporate, but are going to change all the climate in the desert. I'll show more with the pictures. Another part we have is Iceland, is one example of the volcans working. And we have many working nowadays in the world. In the past, they changed all the weather too. It's why we need to be prepared for everything. Food for people, food for animals, be invented in each country. Another thing about food is when the Europeans went to Americas, they find that the rivers were full of fish and they could not see the floor of the river. Oh, so many they were. Of course, we finished the fish from our rivers in Europe and we went to the sea. After we went to Americas and we could find that we still have fish in the rivers and we use it. Is to say that rivers, if clean, they can be full of fish if you take care of our rivers. Organic fertilizers is something that if I want to do a big shop, I need a lot of fertilizers. And one of the ways to do fertilizers is to use manure from animals and from humans that can do a lot of organic fertilizers for having plenty of trees in places that we could not have them because the soil is not good. But making a wall, I'll go to see in the pictures, can change everything for the trees. Another part is urine and ash. They can be used in a controlled way. And we can see how we do in Portugal for eucalyptus. We broke the soil and with manure from chickens, they grow very high. I have some pictures to show. Another thing, when we do forests, we need to avoid fires, and one of the situations is to give space between them. Another thing, biomass from the forest must use for organic fertilizers, not to make electricity. Anywhere, we don't need crops to be, or forests to be used to make electricity or things for petroleum, gasoline, or diesel with the biomasses from forests. It's just a crime to use them. Bread. It begins because some countries are having so increase of population, North Africa, Asia, and people don't have money. Is why I find that it's interesting to put the price down of bread and how people have it. We don't need only wheat to make bread. You can use wheat and soy, wheat and potato, wheat with cassava, wheat with corn, not the rice, but you can use rice, duckweed, spirulina, algae. You can have all of these things. And for example, if you mix spirulina or duckweed, it is things with a full protein that makes the bread that it is now a full protein food. With these two things, they will be. Another thing that I find fun in this situation is potato protein, amino acids. Potato is high protein, something I didn't know at all, and I thought it didn't have any protein at all too. I took this information from the National Library of Medicine that I go to show pictures, but it's not well seen. Anyway, it's from the National Library of Medicine, I think from America. Another thing that we have that goes for the food is the light. We have lights to kill all microbes. when we make the treatment from the water, from the humans are using in the towns to kill microbes. Is the recycled water. And I think we need that rights for water in some places in the world where people can drink properly water. And for agriculture. And I find that in the pests, the swine pests and the bird flu and swine flu, one of the problems is that things are mixed with the birds when are in the fields, both the birds and the pigs, the wild pigs, that they make the problem to have this illness after. Another part of this shop that I did 1 year and a half is thinking about tires and plastic. And also about the electricity, I find new ways of making electricity, one with water, moving from down up, that were from an idea that came from North America, where one enterprise wants to make or to send satellites to the space with compressed vapor, I think from water. I don't know if it's possible or not, but this is the way how I find the first different way to make electricity down up. It's possible in the sea and on the land. This shop, let's say, the first beginning of the hobby with trying to do something without woodland. After the idea of the station from BID and Shell makes me think about electricity, and is why I got the idea of having connect to make electricity. And second, I find from air, compressed air, that we can make electricity is a new system. We don't have this now. And on this shop now, from the recent times, I got making electricity with electricity. I say we have three new different models. The first one is too expensive now. I think the second and the third is what we can use in the future. One from water, another from air, with air, another for electricity with electricity. Or say we can make electricity or with electricity. I explain later with some pictures. Like the hair, the use of the hair comes from an idea from a French that begins to do cars with hair. But like every thing that we are using, the brief hair that we have in our common cell, is no one is thinking to not to spend heat, but all we recycle, we can have this hair close and use it in a different way. This makes the things making electricity or making a car working with air. The tires, I find a solution. I split them with when I saw them. It's fun because I thought to what I use in backlit. Now they are using backlit, but not in the right place, because we still have cars. We change for electricity, but we still have tires from 10 centuries ago. And we cannot have tires from 10 centuries ago working on the road. And now I go to speak about the pictures that I have. This one I find very interesting because bamboo came to me when I watch YouTubers from Nigeria and Ethiopia using bamboo in the animal feed. And now we see this one is a panda. A panda was at the beginning a carnivore animal, it's meat. Now it's just bamboo. But if you look, you are hitting or trying to break the green part of the bamboo. And like parsley or bananas, all of the parsley to the roots is the same. Bananas, the fruit, is the same. The content of the inside of banana and the outside of the banana is the same. And I think the bamboo, that is the grass, is the same from out of the soil up until the leaves, all contain protein. And this green part that we are going to see more pictures, I go to show you why I think that. This is duckweed. Duckweed, that this one obviously is very clean. We are going to see some on the river that are old and they look not so good. But duckweed can be used for animal feed. And it comes from chickens, the idea. Because in the next, I have some pictures of chickens, but they can eat the green parts in the field in 1 week. Or say, things for chicken and hens. One part for them, very important for eating good eggs, is for them to eat greens, and having soil. And also, duckweed can be used, and with one of the two, for example, for the carpets. Is the food for the, how we say that carp I spoke before. I'm very forgetful about everything. That means I don't remember things so easily, like I've been speaking about fish, grass carp. If they have this in the water, they eat all of these things, will be the main food for them. That means you don't need to make food different for them. You can give them different duckweed and to have big quantities of carp. This is a machine that I find with the leaves from banana, because I look for different crops, what is the content of the protein without to be the fruit, like bananas. What we do with bananas, normally they stay on the fields. But I have a movie that shows someone doing animal feed. And of course, that part are important if you want to have animal feed in the countries that used to have them. But this picture is like my experience in timber. We have a machine like this one where I work. I think exactly the same model, just this part for the open to change the knives. Ours didn't have the pneumatic way or hydraulic way that is here, is hydraulic to open, because this thing is very heavy. But it was this machine and the bananas tree, I say, to make big quantities of chips from them. And after the connection, thinking that we just can have one way of making or one energy that you can use the same in different ways, because air, you can use from 7, for example, to 50 or 1000 pressure. That we can, for example, with 500 bars, you can put an aeroplane moving. With 4 bars, we can make electricity for cars without have a big pressure. We say from 7, before 7, like I'm saying 4, until 100, 200 bars or 300 bars, you can have this set concentrated in one place to make energy. And it was the connection, thinking that we could not have more things to produce electricity, but I connect, thinking that we just have air, that we can use it. I connect this machine in a way that you can produce electricity with electricity. Inside this part home is a disc with 10-12 centimeters weight. It's very, very heavy, and with 4 knives for cutting timber. And this machine has a horse engine with 150 horsepower. It's a big engine. And it was, sometimes I make the machine begin to work, and I notice how the beginning of the machine spends in energy. We need to be very careful in that fact, because we have lots of engines with 60 horsepower and 70 and 40. That means all of the engines were very big. We could not connect all of them at the same time, or we'll put a big amount of electricity without being used. But this machine shows that after I switch on, that went for the top of the tops of using electricity, after went to 0, 1 year 0. I say, if you didn't have timber going inside the machine, the engine was not spending much electricity, maybe 5% of that value, or 1%. That means if you have this engine that use electricity, you can use the other part to make electricity, for example, for 300 kilowatts with the double of that machine using on the top. Because you are using inertia of the electricity in an engine. I say, I'll give you an example when we see making electricity in a different ways, to understanding how this machine gives the idea how to use a different way of making electricity, and to use the things that are making electricity. That in 2 ways you can use electricity for making electricity. And for example, one industry with big engines like this one, they can make electricity to sell and not to pay any at all, if they are changing the system to make electricity by electricity. Let me see. Here is a picture. All my pictures are mixed. I could not properly put them in a different way. But I choose this pictures because it's cocoa trees. Normally they are made in Africa. They were done in person in Brazil too. But illness of the trees, they kill the business in Brazil. But now they have a different. It's just to say a country that are using one crop only for selling. In a different ways, it can be changed in a short time. Other countries can begin to do that. This is why you cannot have everything in one, just thinking that we can produce a lot. You need in every country everything first for the country, after for exporting. It's a funny picture, but it's a picture that can be done in places where the land is not good. You can have a recipient with a good soil prepared to do this. It's possible. Just we need to have the right soil. And is one of the things that you can be doing with bad soils. I'll show the pictures next, why and how. This is another picture that I took that it looks fine, because people speak about plastic, that we cannot use plastic. You cannot use roads like this one too, because this thing is the same thing than plastic, that are in mountains near the sea, making pollution. It's the same thing having this or plastic. It's made with the same material that is coming from petroleum. Before I forget, plastic can be done with petrol, crude, or not ash. I'll tell later because I cannot remember now. We are going to see in the future. But it's just to show, when we speak pollution, we need to speak about these things. Are you going to stop using plastic that you can use in many things, and you need to use them, because 99.99999, and we have one for the plastic that we are changing from plastic to another things, for paper. I explain later on how it works. This is pet food. It's a very fun thing to think how our animals, if you have good pet food, you are using this. Lots of people cannot eat these things because they don't have money for it. But we are using it in our animals that are more important than people nowadays. In this side I don't have more. I go to move to another part. The bamboo, which was one of the things I found very interesting. And this is things that are made with bamboo. Is two different materials. It's from bamboo. This will be a soft bamboo unit, and this one will be a bamboo like iron. It's one of the things that many factories and things can be done with bamboo, changing iron, because this will be very strong for doing everything that we need to make a factory. And when we are doing these things, you can use the part with the protein that you are going to give to the animals. I think you cannot see very well this thing, and let me see if I'm still in my telephone. I think so. That speaks about bamboo. It was from the IBURU, Central Ethiopia Environment and Forest Research Center in Ethiopia, Environment and Forest Institute, Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. That speaks bamboo with is a lot of crude protein. First it says, I think you cannot see, bamboo leaf is an excellent animal, it contains 18 to 22 protein. It has the highest amount of crude protein and good for milk animals during the 305 days lactation period for more milk yield. Fresh bamboo leaves as organic chicken feed results in 70 weight gain and compared to those fed on standard diets. Bamboo leaf is considered excellent for goats, reducing protein need to 14%. It was here that I see the value of bamboo Also, you have bamboo in South America, I think in Central America too, Africa, China, and the rest of the countries nearby. And it shows that you can use bamboo for animal feed with high protein. And like I said before, all the body of the bamboo, the green part, have protein like the leaves. I didn't see everywhere, just I find that ah, the famous animal from China, I cannot remember now, but just to say, protein can be the high change in an animal feed in parts. At least half of the world can use it. This is a pictures from the desert. Some can be from South America. This one is from Asia. I don't know which country. But it's one of situations that we can take water from the sea and use this for fish and algae, salt algae. Of course, you need to be careful with the algae here, because it must be local, not to be introduced from a different algae that can have later on give problems. It is a way to use mountains like lakes, salt lakes, to produce fish and algae. It's something that I'm eating. I was just eating cornflakes, but because I have cancer in my stomach, I need to have more fiber. And I bought Scotch porridge, oats. Because I knew from before that not all of them have a full protein, and I begin to mix them. Is why it gives me the idea for the bread that can be from different or mixed things with corn, with duckweed, with other things that I said before. Because using and mix them, I get a better of amino acids for a mixing. And is what we need to do in animal feed and study it all again in every country to see what we have more with protein in our vegetables. This is the dinosaurs. It's for the environment. These animals were big, very big. And the reason for them to have, of course, they have food to eat, but it was the oxygen that we have in Earth orbit that makes them big. It was the quantity of oxygen that Earth had at that time. We don't have it now. It had been destroyed with the first meteorite coming from the space to kill them and burn the oxygen in the atmosphere, because we just have fire if you have oxygen. If you don't have oxygen, we don't have fires. Of course, you can have, yeah. Is why it's important to know, because the problems with our climate begins at the end of dinosaurs. The change in our atmosphere changed absolutely, and you are burning oxygen like crazy people in the world now. We burn oxygen in the cars, in the house, in the kitchen. When we breathe, we are using oxygen too. Forest fires that we have every year. In my country, we can have 100 fires in a day. That shows what people pay attention, not to control the fires, and people are igniting them. And you need to have more oxygen. You need more trees. It's why I speak about palm trees. And you need to reduce the cutting of trees in the north, in the north part of the earth, because you are cutting too much trees, and you need them to have oxygen and to reduce the carbon. It's the beginning of the changing of our climate begins here with the end of them. that change all the hair. Obviously, we have lots of vegetables and big animals. Is grass carp, obviously, is the carp that we can have easily with free food for them and sell them after with a good profit. A good profit, I will say, we need to pay attention for bread, fish, meat, cereals to have a price that people can pay and can eat properly, because still time people with hungry without food in the world. This is me when I was young. I think I was 19 years old when I went the first time to Morocco. It's my style of hyper person. Only a hyper person can think about getting people better lives. And it was me. We begin out of Portugal with 2. Instead we get 3, we get 1 more Portuguese. And in Morocco we got more 5. And we went with a full band of people visiting Morocco. Is one of the things with the ring of fires, volcans. You have so many working now. It's something that can change the environment strongly too. This is one of the videos that I said is from India, and is a very interesting way of changing Africa north and south. Is why this video is very important to have. Andrew Milsons have a lot of videos, all very interesting. If you see him, their videos, you will find that he's a good expert in match-up situations. This is me. I think I was less than 40, at least it was, I think 25 years ago. Obviously, I'm specialized in timber and in machinery for timber. All of the situation connected timber. I was still good looking at the time. I'm not now like I was before. Life changed. But we say my specialty is timber, not anything else. Is my life. Another photography from Morocco. I look more classical, and I like animals, and I show what animals are eating. They don't have anything properly to eat. Is how we have things nowadays in many parts of the world that needs to be changed with high production of these animals, with a different way of giving food. The other part of the machine, I thought it was not here, but is, that shows electric engine with 150 horsepower. This part is connected to the machine for cutting the timber, but this engine can do this after be connected, spends a lot of furniture, goes to there. You could have a connection here to another, not engine, is opposite generator. We could change this part and connect a generator to this one, a big one, because after connecting this, you are going to connect to the other part, and after going to begin. At the same time that you are having this, you are going to have one part that are producing electricity. Also, you can produce the double of the electricity with this engine that you can use during the day. Oh, let me see, I went one out. This is important because it's spirulina moving in these things. Spirulina can be like, for example, in China, in any country, because you can do this with bamboo, banana cheese, palm cheese, corn, dry corn, not the plant of corn, the plant of rice,